What happens when an ordinary trash collector gets transported to another world, awakens his hidden ability, have an overpowered leveling system, and he becomes the Beast King of a fallen orc nation? Let's find out. At some location that looks like a ritual ground for some kind of race that is definitely not human, a human kid is brought to his knees as a sacrificial lamb, and he has no idea where he is, but the one thing he does know is that he is definitely in danger. One of his captors, who looks like the leader of the cave, declares that the human boy must receive divine punishment for intruding on their lands, and proceeds to yap about how this precious land of the beastfolk has been secluded from the outside world for centuries and now has been defiled by a human. The other beastmen captors strongly agree with this, and they unanimously agree that he gets offed in a stylish way. The kid, on the other hand, is not doing so hot, as he has no idea how he got here from the cave he was in just a moment ago, and things do not seem to be going well for him. 5 hours before the incident, our MC is chowing down on some food when he is instructed to hurry up and finish since they are about to start work in the cave. He is also reminded not to stray while inside, given that they are the only cleaning team assigned to do the job, and also not to slack off if he wanted to get any scrap metal. Our protagonist then asks why so many people were coming to a mere C-rank cave, so he is informed that it is because more cleaners were showing up to the job. A voice from outside now calls up to them to tell them the heroes had arrived, and our MC rushes his food to go outside. Some of his co-workers are thinking of how even C-rank dungeons gave him chills from getting closer, wondering how much of a terror an A-rank or S-rank cave could be. But then 2 heroes emerge from within the cave, talking about how easy of a reward they had made from the cave. The workers then take permission from the heroes before entering the cave, and that is when our protagonist's name is revealed as Tsuyoshi Tsukishiro, and that he was a cleaner. In this world, cleaners, commonly known as trash collectors, go into caves already raided by the heroes to collect the leftovers or spoils of war, and these cleaners are completely unrelated to the heroes. The cleaners and heroes live in completely different worlds of class, and Tsuyoshi Tsukishiro goes on to reveal how he failed the awakening test because of his physical constitution, even though he wanted to be a hero too. They get into the cave and are told that it is not very big since it is just a C rank, and then they are reminded that the cave would close after 4 hours, so they should hurry up. Almost immediately, Tsuyoshi finds a shield fragment, and he is told that it was a good sign that maybe his parents were watching him from heaven. But then about 3.5 hours later, it seems like all his luck could give him was a shield fragment. He is reminded that it is almost time to exit the cave, so he begins to panic, knowing that it will not even cover a day of Karina's medical expenses, who is someone close to him. His special broke senses then smell treasure from a nearby well, and although he wonders why a dried-up well is there, he also wonders if he could find some undamaged equipment that might cover Karina's medical expenses. He then finds a ring protruding from the index finger of a skeleton buried within the well, and then he finds a way to enter the well, wondering if the heroes had not noticed it. As he grabs it, he notices it is a rare item, the kind of equipment that usually has a small status-boosting effect, but sells for a great price. He then wears the ring for safekeeping while hurrying to regroup. The ring starts to glow, hurting his finger in the process. Just then, a system activates informing him that the boundless ring has recognized him as its owner, and from now on, the boundless ring will not be removed, or have its ownership changed, and now the boundless passage will open shortly. While he wonders where the voice had come from, a portal appears from his hand and teleports him away while he cries for help. The others wonder where his voice came from and think he had gone to another area to search. Tsuyoshi Tsukishiro regains consciousness and finds himself captured by beastfolk standing before an altar as one of the criminals to receive divine punishment. It seems that divine punishment refers to a terrifying lightning strike that falls upon the altar. He reckons that the place he is at seems to be a sacred land for beastfolk, and he was sent from the well. The Beast King declares that they commence the execution, and a big orc starts giving a speech and introducing the first one to be executed, an orc who supposedly sold confidential information to the despised elves and humans. The orc is brought out while being berated by the others to face his divine punishment as he is struck by lightning. After him, Tsuyoshi is brought out while he tries to beg for his life and explain his situation to the savage beastfolk, but to no avail. He really cannot afford to end his life here, especially since he still has Karina and his dreams of being a hero. These are all he can think of as he is brought to his knees before the altar to receive divine punishment while the other peasant orcs chant for his death. The first fall of lightning comes down, which he dodges to the surprise of everyone, even the Beast King. He is quite stubborn and persistent in his refusal to meet his creator today, if nothing else. He gets up and tries to run but is struck again, leaving him a bit worse than burnt toast. The beast folk feel much better now and mock him, Then they proceed to begin bringing out the next victim for the divine punishment, which is a young beast girl. But before that can happen, the ring on Tsuyoshi's finger begins to glow, and the system activates, revealing that the authentication is complete, and it begins the body repair and construction of the ultimate physique. Before Tsuyoshi can do anything, though, his burnt body is struck again by lightning, signifying that he is not quite dead yet, to the utter shock of everyone. He is struck again and again, and starts making his way to some golden weapon, while receiving the ultimate physique from the ring. The ring keeps reconstructing his body with every lightning strike. And then our MC realizes that something is calling out to him. He slowly starts making his way to the weapon, which is the hammer of the Divine King, and the beastmen are incredibly shocked at this, because other than the Divine King himself, no one has ever gotten this close to the hammer of the Divine King. Even the king is seen geeking as Tsuyoshi grabs the hammer from below and lifts it up like a Chad as he roars out with explosive lightning aura with his new hot hunk body that has completed its reconstruction. The beastfolk gawk as Tsuyoshi, now wrapped in lightning, grips the hammer with a determined grin and lifts it off the ground. He feels its weight and its power, and he thinks that if the hammer has called to him, then he will put it to use. With a mighty swing, he sends a shockwave through the room, rattling the walls and sending dust flying. Suddenly, a system notification pops up congratulating him on acquiring the divine hammer and leveling up to level 3. The notification also tells him that the current unlocked power of the divine hammer is 0% due to insufficient capability, and that the full power of the hammer cannot be demonstrated with its special effect being unknown. A beast woman gasps at the sight as she is witnessing an actual human lifting the hammer. Her voice trembles as if she has just seen a chicken do calculus. The idea that a mere human has lifted the divine hammer is more than impossible. It is insulting. Even the great beast king himself has failed. Legend says that whoever wields the hammer becomes the leader of the beastfolk, but this moment feels like a cosmic glitch. Tsuyoshi is still trying to process what has happened when another status window appears before him, showing level 3 in the divine selection system. But then with a heavy thud, Ryuga lands behind him, snarling that a filthy human has no right to touch the hammer. The beastfolk roar for their general to take back their honor. Ryuga's glare boils with rage as he declares that whatever trick has saved the human will not save him again. His greatsword gleams as he draws it, and with a voice that shakes the chamber asks Tsuyoshi to return the hammer and accept his punishment. Tsuyoshi freezes as another notification appears. A passive skill called Divine Eye activates, and by focusing it can reveal information about opponents or items. Curious, he turns it toward Ryuga and a window appears, revealing that his name is Ryuga, his title is General, his level is 84, his occupation is Beastman Warrior, and his weapon is a Zanbato Grade A. The numbers make Tsuyoshi's heart sink as he is well aware that facing someone of that level is basically suicide. He is astonished by the Divine Eye and wonders if it is a feature of the system. Ryuga belittles him and promises to kill him. Before Tsuyoshi can speak, Ryuga raises his sword high and roars for silence. Tsuyoshi begs for an audience, and the beast woman thinks to herself that the human is doomed due to the sheer strength of Ryuga, who could cut a human into halves with a single strike. The strike comes down like thunder, so Tsuyoshi clenches the hammer with both hands, and dust and air explode as the strike lands. As the air clears, Tsuyoshi still stands gripping the hammer with trembling arms, his body close to breaking but the hammer unyielding. Ryuga's eyes widen for the first time as he realizes his strike has been blocked. Ryuga growls that the hammer has saved Tsuyoshi's life, but it will not save him again. But Tsuyoshi pleads that it is all but a misunderstanding due to him not being from this world. His fury overflows as he lunges forward and says there is nothing to hear. Ryuga grips Tsuyoshi's torso in one massive hand and hurls him high into the sky, preparing to smash him down like nothing. The world spins as Tsuyoshi is flung upward, but in that moment, a system notification appears showing that absolute replication has been activated, and touching an opponent's heart allows one skill to be stolen. Tsuyoshi twists his body awkwardly as he falls, still thinking about the system notification and deciding to try it out. He brushes his hand against Ryuga's chest, which gets Ryuga all zesty. Tsuyoshi gets overwhelmed by all the abilities from Ryuga, but decides to go with the Heaven Shaker due to its compatibility. The system chimes that the Heaven Seeker skill has been fully replicated. Tsuyoshi swings the hammer with all his might, and Heaven Seeker bursts out with a violent clash against Ryuga's sword. The explosion shakes the entire arena, filling it with dust and chaos, with the crowd left in awe. When it clears, Tsuyoshi stands holding the glowing hammer, while Ryuga stares in disbelief as he realizes that his own technique has been stolen. Even yet, no damage has been dealt. Then a system notification explains to Tsuyoshi that without a profession or weapon mastery, the power cannot inflict harm. Both Ryuga and Tsuyoshi are left utterly shocked and so disappointed that it is almost laughable. Resuming the battle, Ryuga roars in fury, raising his sword to finish it. But just as the strike falls, a voice booms across the arena, and the Beast King himself appears. The dust parts as the king kneels before Tsuyoshi. The entire arena falls silent in shock, and whispers spread like wildfire. The hammer had chosen him, meaning that the prophecy is real, and the Beast King's voice carries through the hall as he declares that for centuries, none have lifted the hammer, and yet today a human has succeeded. Many protest that it is unthinkable, but the king silences them, reminding them that the prophecy has never stated that the chosen must be beastfolk. He then places his hand upon Tsuyoshi's forehead and burns a mark into his mind, declaring that if he does not return within 1 year, he will be hunted down and ended. The Beast Woman, who was supposed to be the next to be executed after our MC and had watched from the crowd, calls out that he should take this chance and grow stronger. Tsuyoshi meets her eyes and with divine eye sees her strength, with the fact that she is a level 72 dagger user marked as a criminal, and yet her encouragement rings clear. She tells him not to waste this chance. Tsuyoshi, after consideration, decides to accept the offer with the condition of the Beast Woman coming with him. Later, as the night falls, Tsuyoshi gazes at the ring on his finger, realizing that everything began with it. The Beast Woman approaches him, her voice soft but firm as she declares that she will serve him. Her eyes steady as she calls him master, and Tsuyoshi accepts her words quietly. A strange bond forming between them as they prepare to leave the village together. But before they can take a step, the ring glows once more, revealing that the boundless pass is available, and golden light surrounds him, pulling him away. The Beast Woman reaches out calling for him, but the light carries him away back to his world. In a flash, he stumbles onto solid ground, the well behind him, his teammates' voices calling down impatiently. They tell him to climb out quickly before the cave collapses. His heart races as realization sinks in. Though hours have passed in the other world, only moments have passed here. Time itself is frozen between them. He climbs the rope breathless, his mind filled with the weight of everything that has happened. 2 worlds now tied together, the divine hammer still in his inventory, and the promise of a year that will decide everything. Tsuyoshi's thoughts raged back to that bloody day when everything changed. The first gate opened and the world erupted into chaos. Blood streamed down his forehead, a makeshift bandage glued to his cheek as he bolted through the streets with his unconscious sister slung over his back, her breathing faint and her body numb to the touch. A flipped patrol car nearby released a piercing siren, a harbinger of the devastation that followed the gate's opening. Dominating everything was a colossal beast that destroyed buildings the way a sugar-fueled toddler destroyed an entire room, casting its dark shadow over everything in its path. Behind Tsuyoshi came a distant voice, his younger sister Karina whispering that she could not feel her legs, and her voice was so weak that she could barely get the information across. Her words stung deeper than any wound, but he kept going, eyes filled with red light, adrenaline coursing through him like fire. She whispered a second time asking about their parents, but before he could answer, a massive bomb tore down the street. He stumbled, clutching Karina tighter than his own life, refusing to let her go. Among the smoke and wreckage, he screamed for his parents, his voice cracking but his words drowned in the wails of the city as the screams of the populace mangled into one hellish din. His shoulder jerked suddenly as a hand gripped him, but it was just his uncle Nakazato pulling him back to reality, telling him that it was either do or die. He pleaded for his parents, but Nakazato shook his head sharply, threatening that if he looked around, the darkness would consume him as well, reminding him to remember Karina, who needed a hospital in a hurry. The memory fades and Tsuyoshi returns back to the present. He is beside Karina, who is in a wheelchair, her worried eyes fixed on him as she softly asks if he is really going to retake the awakening test tomorrow. At the far end of the room, a nurse passes by with a smiling face urging Karina to rest, but Tsuyoshi's gaze does not shift from his sister. He massages his head with a smile that makes a half-hearted attempt at confidence and inquires if her legs still hurt. She looks down at herself as she admits she can no longer walk even though she has grown used to the pain. The system's haunting alert glares into his face, telling him both of Karina's legs are mangled, nerves shredded beyond revival with a 1% survival chance. He seethes at the words as if they mock him, then looks over at his sister sitting in her chair. He envisions the life she should be living, school, friends, and laughter. But instead, she gets intense pain every day in a chair holding her captive. In his mind, he screams that Karina is all he has left, and even if there is only a 1% possibility of healing, he will battle for it. That night, he walks alone through the city, the biting cold slicing at his flesh, thoughts storming in his mind. Even a 1% chance is hope, and if he rises high enough as a hero, maybe he will gain the power or knowledge to heal her. He steps into the middle of the road, balls his fist and raises his hand up to the moonlit sky, swearing that he will live proudly and become the strongest hero. That same night, the awakening test field buzzes with activity. One boy exits the chamber, grinning ear to ear when the tester announces a level 3 with combat power of 540. He celebrates as though he has already won the world. The desk clerk sighs before announcing the next name, which is Tsuyoshi Toshiro, adding a sarcastic comment that this is his second attempt after failing initially. Tsuyoshi steps in with his bandaged face, uniform on, and his steps confident. The worker warns that most who fail once always fail, but Tsuyoshi ignores him, entering the chamber with determination. He places his hand on the machine, calling forth his strength, and then muscles creak, power flows, and the room shakes as the machine rages wildly. The readings skyrocket out of control until the device breaks, the screen flashing his result. Apparently, he is at level 3, with a combat power of 5,400, almost 10 times the previous boy, and a new record. Tsuyoshi stares at the number, confusion mixing with happiness as he cracks a smile. He has reached the level of an actual hero, and this is only the beginning. But his thoughts stray to the Divine King Hammer. Summoning it into his hand, another system prompt welcomes him, warning that he can only utilize it fully for 1 second and at unthinkable expense. He smirks anyway, deciding that 1 second is enough, and gripping the hammer tightly. He touches the device once more, unleashing its power. Agony rips through him, as if his soul is being squeezed out, but the hammer roars with lightning, shaking the chamber and sending bolts screaming into the stormy sky beyond. Citizens lose their minds as the tempest gathers. The machine before him revs up, unable to measure anymore, so it explodes into sparks before the building plunges into darkness completely. The employee bursts in shouting for evacuation but stops, staring at Tsuyoshi weak, drained but holding the hammer. His eyes widen in shock, not knowing who he even is anymore. Later, limping down the halls, Tsuyoshi admits to himself that he underestimated the hammer as his strength was completely drained in an instant. But despite the exhaustion, a smile spreads across his face. He also just found out that he is a hero officially now. Training begins under a golden armored instructor named Gaia, a level 9 fighter with potential combat power of 1,200. Tsuyoshi smirks silently at the number, already imagining how much his own strength will grow in comparison. Gaia glares at the trainees, curtly informing them they will be sent into a D-rank dungeon immediately with no easy training and no hesitation. The new heroes shudder in terror, some protesting, but Gaia waves them aside with a glare, declaring that only real combat matters. Tsuyoshi glances at the nervous newbies fidgeting, his perverted mind drifting to the beast girl he left behind in the other world. That night, after the city calms down from the chaos, he strokes the ring once more. Then light surrounds him, and the other world opens. The familiar wind greets him again as he looks up at the bright moon and smiles. Everything resets as well, his gear and his attire back to the cleaning uniform he had on the first time he came. But the feeling of returning tightens his chest with determination. His beast girl companion from before also appears before him, her presence overpowering yet comforting, her features making his nose leak a little blood. She asks if something is wrong, but he waves it off, telling her to lead the way. Her face turns serious as she scouts around a nearby goblin den, their numbers great but levels low. Tsuyoshi grins with excitement as he declares that he will attack the goblins. Her eyes sparkle as she raises her fist, eager to begin, and they set off toward the cave. From the bushes, they watch the sentries. Tsuyoshi grins, showing his eagerness, but she warns him that fighting alongside her gives him no experience due to their level gap. When he requests to see her fight, she agrees, vanishing in an instant and cutting down the goblins with ease. Tsuyoshi watches in awe, clapping at her quickness and strength. She returns, face flushing, but when he asks to learn the move, she explains to him that it is far too advanced. Without hesitation, he switches his occupation to warrior, his combat strength still 5,400, and his weapon, the Divine King Hammer. She takes his hand gently, blushing as she vows to help him as his partner, her warmth leaving him dazed but grateful. The moment breaks as more goblins arrive, one shouting about shift changes and spotting the dead sentries. Tsuyoshi smiles and steps forward, borrowing her dagger and determined to test his strength. With a precise slash, he releases a stream of power that eliminates the goblins with ease. The Beast Girl watches in amazement, astonished that he can take out enemies of equal quality so easily, something that usually requires a full party. Tsuyoshi lands softly, smiling as the system bombards him with experience. His position shifts and his growth is undeniable, making his determination more intense than ever. The Beast Girl steps forward with her ears low, while she offers him a rough sword made from scraps, and asks him to use it for now. Tsuyoshi ignores the sword because his eyes lock on a wooden stick lying abandoned on the ground, and he bends down to pick it up as though it is the only choice worth making. The system reveals to him that he has reached level 3, where his occupation is warrior. His weapon is a worn-out wooden stick. He has no skill, but has Heaven Seeker as a replicated skill, and his experience is 50 out of 3,000. The Beast Girl warns that his weapon offers no defense, and although Tsuyoshi agrees, he still keeps it as he opens his Divine Consciousness inventory, which by his research allows stored items to be used in both worlds. 2 slots appear with one holding the Divine King Hammer and the second remaining empty, and no new slots can be created. A message appears about the Divine Consciousness inventory, which grows through training and is influenced by one's abilities. The message also shows that leveling up will expand the slots. He ponders about the lack of slots and how in the real world a set of equipment is divided into 5. When he looks at the Beast Girl, she grows uneasy and asks if something is on her face. He gets a dirty thought and gets flustered with a watery smirk. Yet he says calmly that he only wanted to make sure she is still with him. Before she can reply, she stiffens and shouts that something is behind him. 3 goblins rush forward with snarls and their health bars glow level 4 while the Beast Girl raises her sword and warns him to stay sharp due to the fact that the goblins get stronger as they go deeper. Tsuyoshi asks if that also means that the experience points will increase as he leaps into the goblins and tells the Beast Girl not to interfere in order for him to get the experience. Tsuyoshi grips the stick firmly and charges forward as his swing crashes like thunder, with his eyes glowing red, and light floods the cave, taking down all the goblins. The system reveals to him that his experience has increased to 150 out of 3,000. The stick cracks in his hand, yet he still says that it is too weak while the Beast Girl stares at him in silence, whispering that his strength is far beyond what she imagined. She is amazed at Tsuyoshi's ability to defeat the goblins in an instant, despite the difference in level. They continue deeper into the cave where stronger goblins appear, and Tsuyoshi cuts through them one after another, while the Beast Girl follows closely behind with Tsuyoshi's experience now at 1,230. He mutters that the skill is powerful, but the weapon is holding him back while his experience rises rapidly, and his thoughts slip briefly to his old life, where guild warriors always complained about slow leveling while he only watched from the background. Now there are no guilds or rules and no one to take what belongs to him, and as another goblin falls, he mutters that this world finally belongs to him. The system reveals to him that his experience has risen to 2,100 out of 3,000. Tsuyoshi says that at this pace he will be unstoppable, and he is going straight for the boss. The cave opens into a massive chamber lit by glowing moss where a towering shadow stands in the center, and red eyes glare through the darkness. Tsuyoshi asks if that is the goblin boss, and the Beast Girl stiffens as she explains that the boss has been consumed by darkness. The word pierces Tsuyoshi because darkness destroyed his old world and took his family, and then his grip tightens on the stick. She warns that darkness multiplies strength exponentially and makes every strike unpredictable, and she declares that she will fight it herself. Tsuyoshi shakes his head and answers that he will destroy it with his own hands and avenge his family. The Dark Goblin boss steps from the shadows roaring as the ground shakes, and Tsuyoshi charges shouting about the darkness that ruined his sister's life. But the monster's strike throws him across the chamber, and pain surges through his body as the creature closes in. The Beast Girl dashes forward and cuts off its tongue with a swift strike, shouting for him to fight as she plants herself in front of him. Tsuyoshi rises slowly with blood on his lip, and golden light bursts from his eyes as he refuses to be killed by the likes of those that took his family. The system reveals to him that his ultimate physique has been fully activated. Energy surges through him as his body shines, and he roars that if he has no weapon, then his body itself will be the weapon. The system shows the enhancement on the right hand and warns him to be cautious due to the immense pain. He leaps and drives his fist into the Dark Goblin boss as a shockwave rips through the chamber until the monster is reduced to ash as he tells the monster to perish. A new system message appears showing him that he has leveled up to level 4. Breathing heavily, Tsuyoshi lowers his fist and stares at the empty ground where the boss once stood, and he vows with steady resolve that he will kill all the darkness. As the adrenaline drains from his body, Tsuyoshi glances at his trembling right hand. A smirk tugs at his lips despite the searing pain, and he realizes that even his own body cannot keep up with the power. Pride and self-awareness flicker in his expression as the beast girl rushes to his side, her voice thick with concern as she draws notice to his arm. He tries to wave her off but winces sharply as pain shoots up his arm. Glowing text flickers in his vision. A system warning appears revealing that it has detected severe injury and warning him that immediate treatment is required to prevent necrosis, as energy output has exceeded the physical limits of his hand and his body has been pushed too far. Clutching his arm, Tsuyoshi's knees buckle, his vision blurs, and he collapses into the beast girl's chest. She gasps but catches him with surprising strength, her voice trembling as she begs him not to give up while frantically pulling a small vial of shimmering liquid from her satchel. Time passes, and the cave grows strangely calm with two bats, one white and one black, fluttering lazily. Tsuyoshi's eyes snap open with a spark of vitality. He groans as he sits up and flexes his fingers carefully, relief washing through him as he exclaims that he feels better already. The beast girl beams with joy, glad that the medicine works and his arm is still tender, but no longer swollen or burning. His mind turns curious as he notes that the recovery speed is slower than medicine from his world, but the elixir clearly taps into deep healing methods. Energy surges inside him, and he jumps to his feet, striking a bodybuilder pose and shouting that he is stronger than ever. The beast girl claps happily, still grinning, and then he suddenly remembers the reward waiting deeper inside, and she giggles, reminding him that that was why they came in the first place. A soft glow catches his eye, a treasure chest that rests in the center of the cavern, and just as they approach, a notification appears revealing that he has unlocked an achievement. The fastest time defeating the goblin boss, and his reward gets upgraded as a result. The beast girl points in awe at the darkness treasure chest, and Tsuyoshi's heart pounds as he steps forward, because he knows that darkness treasures are legendary even in his world. His hands quiver with excitement, and suddenly all the battles and pain feel worth it in that single moment. With a deep breath, he opens the chest, and inside lies an intricately designed set of armor radiating a faint glow, which the system confirms is the Dark Goblin set. The beast girl leans close with wide eyes, telling Tsuyoshi that the armor is rare and valuable, but Tsuyoshi's face shifts with concern as he quickly closes the chest, his mind racing about inventory space, wondering if the set counts as one item or several. As if reading his thoughts, the system asks if he wants to save it. He hesitates, but then confirms it, and to his amazement, the entire set fits into a single slot. Relief and excitement fill him. A mischievous grin spreads across his face as he thinks of how much of a steal this is. Later, under the silvery moonlight, the two sit on a grassy hill, and the beast girl carefully mends a tear in her cloak, while Tsuyoshi leans back, gazing at the stars, and the night feels calm and surreal. She holds up a vest she has sewn, her eyes gleaming with both pride and nervousness. Tsuyoshi's eyes widen in awe as he slips it on, and he admires the craftsmanship and praises her skill. Her smile stretches wide, her heart swelling with pride. Quiet satisfaction washes over Tsuyoshi as he thinks about resting. He stands stretching and suggests they settle for the night, and she nods softly in agreement. Back in his apartment, Tsuyoshi collapses onto his bed with a heavy sigh, and relief floods his chest as his mind drifts back to the beast girl, her face lingering in his thoughts, and he remembers how he waited until she fell asleep before slipping away, this time with a ton of loot weighing down his heart. The next morning, a notification blinks before him asking if he would like to equip the Dark Goblin set, and without hesitation he confirms it. The system reveals a special skill, Roaring Tentacles, which is a scream that stuns weak enemies while transforming his hand into a lethal phantom tentacle. Tsuyoshi stares at his reflection, and his grin widens at the sight of the armor. He looks like a boss monster ready to strike, and excitement bubbles inside him, but doubt creeps in as he thinks about how others will come for his head just to get their hands on rare gear. Just then, another notification appears revealing an equipment effect conceal feature that disguises his armor as normal clothes. With trembling fingers, he confirms to use it, and the armor vanishes, instantly replaced by simple clothing. He looks down at himself, relieved, but his mind still races. Just as Tsuyoshi prepares to leave, his phone rings, and confusion hits him as he answers. On the other end, a nurse's panicked voice breaks through, informing him that scary men are at the hospital trying to take Karina. claiming that she owes money. The call ends abruptly and immediate dread crashes down on Tsuyoshi. Then fury ignites hotter than anything he has ever felt, his grip crushing the phone as rage consumes him. He storms out and the system flashes again, confirming his class and equipment, but his mind is locked on one thing: Karina. At the hospital, Karina kneels on the floor. Her voice cracks as she pleads for them to stop. The lead loan shark sneers, towering over her, informing her that her brother has borrowed money and failed to pay, so she is collateral. Karina's voice shakes as she protests that her brother would never sign such a contract, but the man grins cruelly, his mind twisting with dark amusement as he mutters about her value on the black market. His hand grabs her chin roughly and forces her to look up, and his grin widens with sadistic thrill as he leans close, promising to go easy if she obeys, but hinting at far worse if she resists. Suddenly the doors explode inward with a deafening crash, and Tsuyoshi stands in the doorway, his eyes blazing with fury. The air grows heavy and tense, and his voice rings out cold and sharp, demanding to know who dares touch his precious sister. Silence fills the room as his gaze locks onto the man threatening his sister, and the air thickens like a storm ready to break. Tsuyoshi isn't playing, and he tells the scumbag to brace himself, his voice dropping low and carrying the weight of violence. After Tsuyoshi kicked the hospital door open with the force of a superhero way overqualified for the situation, the system notification displays his level as 4. His occupation as warrior, his equipment as dark goblin set, his special skill as roaring tentacles, his weapon as none with replicated skill as heaven shaker, and experience 0 out of 6,000. The room that was previously noisy with bad villain dialogue goes dead silent. His sister sitting in a wheelchair calls out to him, and the gang leader reclining sneers with overconfidence as he shifts his attention to Tsuyoshi. He smirks and asks Tsuyoshi why he looks so angry, reminding him that this is what they agreed on. He continues to tell Tsuyoshi that he doesn't need a cripple sister like her anyway, but he doesn't even get to finish that sentence because Tsuyoshi, who is fueled by rage and zero chill, and is sick of hearing this dude's yapping, moves faster than expected. In the blink of an eye, his foot connects with the leader's face so hard that it probably sent a shock through his body, and the poor guy's teeth go airborne with his body doing an Olympic-level spin before crashing to the ground. Another system notification pops up showing the strongest body part had been unlocked, which is his legs, thereby increasing the speed and power. Tsuyoshi's eyes begin to glow ominous red. One of the dumb gang members, clearly reckless, decides to try his luck and throws a punch. Big mistake as Tsuyoshi meets the punch with his own, and the guy's hand disintegrates. Now he sits on the ground cradling his broken hand and trembling in pain. The gang leader, groaning, manages to spit out some nonsense like nobody defies the Blue Snake Gang, and then he whips out a gun aiming straight at Tsuyoshi and he fires. The bullet zooms through the air, but Tsuyoshi casually catches the bullet with his bare hand, like he's the Flash, and then the room goes silent again. He lets the bullet drop and walks toward them, his face an intimidating blend of fury and focus. The system chimes again, showing the strongest body part unlocked now is his hands, which are immune to ordinary weapons. The remaining gangsters huddle together, trembling. One of them stutters, realizing the situation, that they are actually facing a hero. Moments later, the nurse who called Tsuyoshi earlier arrives with security. She yells at them to hurry as there are loan sharks harassing a patient and her brother. As she pushes the door open, she freezes as she sees that the once feared gangsters are now huddled in a pile covered in bruises, their leader looking defeated. Forcing a smile, the leader politely begs Tsuyoshi to pay in one lump sum as soon as possible, as if delay occurs in repayment. Some dude whom he refers to as the young boss and is apparently also a hero might be happy about it. The gangsters all raise their hands and say they'll be leaving now before scrambling out the door. When the lights come on, the nurse still standing there looks at Tsuyoshi and then at the gangsters fleeing for their lives. As the lone shark leader shuffles away from the hospital room, bruised and beaten, he decides that he has to report this to the boss or his plan to take the sister will fail. Then a notification pops up in the leader's mind, showing Blue Shark Gang boss level as 10, his occupation as warrior tank, his combat power as 2,300. But the system notification isn't linked to Tsuyoshi. He smirks darkly as he realizes that his boss is level 10, so that kid is just a trainee compared to him, and he doesn't stand a chance. Meanwhile, inside the hospital room, his sister Karina stares at him in confusion. She asks if they left with her voice full of disbelief. Tsuyoshi, holding a white cloth, steps closer and kneels slightly and admits that those jerk faces were actually right, and if they don't pay them soon, they will be back. Tsuyoshi has been thinking hard, trying to figure out how to repay them, but he is a hero now, and so there's hope, and he tells Karina not to worry about it. Karina, with a faint smile, looks at him, wanting to know if he really became a hero, and Tsuyoshi awkwardly scratches the back of his head as he shyly pulls out his hero ID. He informs her that he is still an intern though, but will be officially recognized after passing the cave trial. With determination, Tsuyoshi walks out of the room ready to face the challenge, his thoughts racing as he knows that he had borrowed 60,000 yen from the Blue Shark Gang for Karina's treatment, and if he tries to pay it back slowly, it will take forever. Even if he became an official hero, it won't be enough. The only way to repay his debt is to sell all equipment, but that's risky. The scene shifts to the cave entrance where Tsuyoshi joins a group of adult trainees, all under the watchful eye of their instructor Gaia, a grizzled man standing with arms crossed. The instructor barks that everyone here will be tested on their skills to see if they are ready to become official heroes, and that all equipment found in the cave belongs to him with no exceptions. The trainees nod without hesitation, but Tsuyoshi, however, reckons that he has heard rumors about this stupid scam, and it seems like the Hero Union is turning a blind eye to it, but then again he knows that it's not like anything valuable could be found in a low-level cave anyway. The instructor raises a fist dramatically with his voice booming, and reveals that he is a level 9 warrior for the record, and as long as his instructions are followed, he assures them that they will all pass the exam, but in return for his expert guidance, the trainees will have to pay 20,000 yen. He asks if it's understood, and a trainee confirms it. Tsuyoshi, raising his hand, asks loudly why they should pay Gaia, who is already taking all the equipment found. He asks further how they are supposed to have any money left for themselves if things go this way, but another trainee warns him nervously and whispers not to go against Gaia because he is part of the Crazy Wolf Guild. Tsuyoshi reckons that Gaia has got backing which would explain why he is shameless, but he makes up his mind not to pay someone like him to help the strong and crush the weak, even if it costs him his life. The instructor, now visibly irritated, tells Tsuyoshi that if he is too broke to pay, then he should sign up for the solo test instead. He smirks as he doesn't care what happens to Tsuyoshi since he is provoking him. The trainees are well aware that no one ever survives a solo trial, and one trainee whispers that even the strongest heroes avoid it. Another trainee calls Tsuyoshi a fool for incurring Gaia's wrath. Tsuyoshi, undeterred, crosses arms confidently and asks to sign up for a solo test as it is even more convenient for him. In the middle of a forest, the official asks Tsuyoshi if he is serious and if he knows what signing up means. The official proceeds by informing him that no one has ever passed the solo test, not even top heroes, so it is practically a death sentence for a trainee. With a respectful bow, Tsuyoshi thanks him for concern, not doubting what he said, but he still asks to be let through. The official, now trembling, figures that this is insane. Meanwhile, Tsuyoshi walks toward the cave entrance. As he steps into the cave, the world seems to shift around him, and in front is not the dark, damp cave expected, but a magical forest glowing with an otherworldly light. A new notification pops up showing that he is a test confirmation trainee, and that solo test application has been confirmed. It shows further information like cave and forest type, his level as level C, and recommended participants as 5 or more, and recommended combat power as 600 plus. He had only seen caves after the heroes cleaned out the darkness, so this is all very new to him, but before he can ponder further, a goblin leaps out of shadows from behind him swinging a wooden stick. The stick connects with Tsuyoshi's back and snaps in half, and a blue glow emits from him. Tsuyoshi turns around slowly, looking more annoyed than hurt, informing the unfortunate creature that a surprise attack of that level of power won't hurt him. A notification pops up revealing the combat power check of the goblin as 640. The goblin freezes before it can react, and Tsuyoshi smirks, his golden eyes glinting and looking down at the goblin as he yanks the broken stick out of its hand and swings it back at the creature, admitting that the dark goblin is pretty strong, but when compared to his power, is nothing but dust. The goblin crumples to the ground. Tsuyoshi knows that the experience gained from real-world enemies is not even half of that of counterparts on the other side, which would explain why the heroes suffer from slow growth. Another notification appears revealing that he has gained 20% of 6,000 experience. Sensing more movement, Tsuyoshi stretches his arms casually and tells them to come to him all at once instead of sneaking up on him. The forest erupts as dozens of goblins emerge from the bushes, screeching and charging at him, but without hesitation he activates dark goblin armor. The suit pulses and black tentacles erupt, striking down the goblins. Tsuyoshi yells and calls for the goblins to come out and face him. Outside the cave, the bespectacled official stares at his iPad nervously with beads of sweat rolling down his face, muttering to himself that it's almost an hour, and no one's ever lasted this long. He really wonders if Tsuyoshi is fearless or just reckless. He knows that the union was going to get rid of the test, and now he is stuck overseeing the test. Suddenly the device beeps loudly, and a new notification appears showing that the solo test results have been uploaded and that candidate Tsuyoshi Tashiro passed. The man's jaw drops, and at the cave exit, Tsuyoshi walks out of the cave casually brushing off dirt from his dark goblin body. A new notification pops up showing his stats, and looking around, Tsuyoshi casually asks if there is a place nearby for him to wash up. The scene shifts to the portal where Tsuyoshi, the trainees, and the instructor are gathered. From the portal, the instructor and all the trainees emerge looking worse for wear, and the instructor glares at the group while gripping a knife, saying that without his presence, every single one of them would already be dead. To him, the 20,000 fee for becoming a hero without contributing in combat is far too cheap. One trainee recalls how the teachers had warned against interference, and another reflects on how healing magic support was refused, finding it absurd that any complaint about 20,000 could follow after that. The first trainee reinforces the point, remembering that this is the group's first cave dive and that almost no explanation had been provided. Anger at them feels outrageous in light of such circumstances, and then a third trainee nervously tries to calm the others, believing that the test has already been passed and that pushing further is unnecessary. The instructor scoffs and fixes them with a glare, convinced that at their level the charge should have been 40,000 and that allowing them to leave with a demand of 20,000 is already lenient. The instructor's communication device suddenly buzzes, interrupting the tirade, and with irritation, he responds to the Hero Exam Center, impatiently demanding brevity. As the message comes through, his face twists into shock and disbelief, with sweat forming on his forehead and his jaw falling slack. The information concerns Tsuyoshi, and the instructor struggles to process the report, learning that Tsuyoshi has passed the solo test. A little away from the cave entrance, Tsuyoshi calmly washes his hands and cleans himself up. Disbelief etched across his features, the instructor stomps toward him as he is convinced that at best, this is a level 4. Suspicions rise that high-grade equipment must have been used, since no rookie has ever succeeded in passing a solo test. Tsuyoshi tilts his head back slightly, remarking that impossibility is nothing more than an excuse. He further remarks that perhaps he was driven simply by the thought of saving 20,000. Anger boils over as the instructor seizes Tsuyoshi's shirt, demanding an explanation and warning of regret. Tsuyoshi remains unmoved and dismisses the guild's significance by comparing its power unfavorably to level 9 standards. Fury overtakes the instructor as golden light envelops his fist, and he attempts to strike. Yet Tsuyoshi catches the punch effortlessly mid-air and appears completely unfazed as he asks if Gaia wants to beat him with his level 9 fist. Shock spreads through the instructor's mind as he realizes such power should be unthinkable at level 4. Flustered, he draws a dagger and lunges again, only for Tsuyoshi to sidestep casually. Gaia attacks again, only to see the blade shatter instantly against the dark goblin armor which uses its defense effect. Staring at the fragments, sweat trickles down the instructor's face as disbelief turns to suspicion, and he is convinced that concealed high-grade equipment is at play. Tsuyoshi quietly recognizes the danger of exposing abilities that could draw unwanted attention. Gaia starts pressuring Tsuyoshi for the high-grade equipment, but he brushes it off as the fault of the dagger. The official arrives just in time and apologizes for keeping them waiting, and informs Tsuyoshi that he is now officially a hero. Gaia thinks to himself that the official was a lifesaver and that Tsuyoshi won't do something like that again. Tsuyoshi remarks that his combat power is above that of an ordinary level 4 due to the system, but it is still difficult facing higher-level enemies. Later that night, Tsuyoshi lies in his apartment recalling the events of the day. Drawing attention from Gaia feels dangerous at his current level, and the risk of standing out weighs heavily. Outside the apartment, two suspicious figures linger. One clutches a glowing staff and identifies the location, while the other nods with a rasping tone, urging the use of magic to paralyze and strip the occupant of everything. The instructor from earlier approaches with a sinister grin, a snake-like tongue flickering as a new blade gleams in his grip. He intends to split whatever is taken as he insists that the act remains silent to avoid drawing neighbors' notice. The magician begins chanting as he prepares to dismantle the seal on the door. Before any entry can be made, the door explodes outward with a deafening crash. All three intruders reel in surprise as Tsuyoshi appears framed in the doorway, eyes glowing crimson, veins pulsing across his face, and a wooden stick gripped tightly in hand. Hatred floods his features as he locks onto the would-be attackers. The magician, shaken but recovering, raises the staff and prepares an assault, but Tsuyoshi lunges forward and unleashes Heaven Shaker, striking with force and knocking the magician off balance. A frown darkens Tsuyoshi's expression as calculations race through his mind. Even against a level 10 mage with 3,500 combat power, the 6-stage gap renders direct combat dangerous. Combat power alone is not decisive, yet at level 4, the system itself punishes fighters for challenging opponents too far above their tier. He compares it to a low-level warrior fighting a high-level boss in RPG terms. Options narrow as fleeing while relying solely on equipment, risks failure and certain defeat. The magician regains footing, cloak torn, bald head fully revealed, and arrogance in posture. With renewed rage, a reinforced cloak is credited with survival, and another spell is hurled. Flame jet bursts forth, fire streaking toward Tsuyoshi. Swift evasion keeps him unharmed, but realization settles that the Dark Goblin set defends only against physical strikes, leaving magical assaults unchecked. Goblin caves were one matter. This battle is another entirely. Teeth grit as he bolts toward the far side, knowing head-on resistance ensures failure. Pursuers charge after him, intent on seizing their prize. Leaping from the side of a building, Tsuyoshi channels ultimate physique into his legs and reinforces them with the Dark Goblin set's durability. Confidence steadies his fall, but the moment before landing, a figure ambushes from below and a vicious knee drives into his abdomen mid-air, hurling pain through his body. The system identifies the attacker as a crazy wolf warrior of level 12 with combat power nearing 4,000. Smirking with cruel delight, the warrior slams Tsuyoshi into the ground, which carves a crater upon impact. Despite the force, Tsuyoshi struggles to his feet and steadies himself with one hand against the ground. Pain sears through him and abdominal protection is left exposed, but the armor reduces the damage enough to endure. The warrior lands nearby and is surprised at his survival, yet grudgingly impressed. The magician rejoins, fury twisting his features, and demands an answer for the inexplicable skill displayed. Tsuyoshi's temper ignites, eyes glowing brighter and faint markings of hidden armor etching across his face. Killing intent rises in response to the attempts on his life. Roaring tentacles of the Dark Goblin set lash outward, only to be halted instantly. The magician unleashes action restriction, locking Tsuyoshi's movements for a fleeting moment. The system confirms the effect, noting the 1.5-second restraint and effectiveness dictated by level difference. Frustration mounts as Tsuyoshi is helpless against the lock. Both enemies prepare to strike together, greed dripping from their words as they imagine the fortune to be made from stripping rare equipment. Just as despair threatens, fortune intervenes. A new system notification appears showing that the cooldown of the Ring of Boundless has ended. Relief floods Tsuyoshi's mind as the skill activates. A portal opens beneath him and pulls him away in a flash. The two enemies stand dumbfounded as he disappears, leaving only his glare behind and silently vowing return and vengeance. On the other side of the portal, Tsuyoshi collapses onto the ground, drenched in sweat with his chest heaving. Escape is secured, but only narrowly, with his trembling hands reminding him of weakness, and his resolve hardening with the realization that reliance on equipment alone cannot secure survival. True strength must be earned, and determination grips him tightly as he clenches his fists, knowing the future rests within his control. Turning his head, his eyes widen because resting nearby, the beast girl lies curled like a sleeping kitten, tranquil expression softened by a faint aura of untamed power. Her relaxed posture reveals a hint too much, crimson flush spreading across his face as blood trickles from his nose. As he takes in her stunning figure, the faint scent of cherry blossoms reaches him, which is the same fragrance she always carries. His body reacts instinctively with thoughts spiraling, denoting that if no action is taken now, he is less than a man. Just as control begins to slip, a system notification pierces the moment, showing ultimate physique and adrenaline surge, activating and enhancing muscles, speed, and vital areas across the body. The sudden jolt pulls him back, and the memory of the desperate escape from the third-grade villains begins to flash. The recollection cools his fire instantly, thereby leaving him kneeling like a defeated man, muttering that this is not the time, and that the focus must remain on survival, leveling up, and acquiring skills. Morning arrives. The beast girl stretches with a soft yawn, with golden light painting her features in warmth. She remarks that rest came easily for the first time in a long while. He sits nearby with dark circles shadowing his eyes and a sigh escaping as he responds that he also slept well before asking her to prepare another piece of clothing so they can move on. She stares in confusion as she is still processing his words. Later in the forest, she explains that skill acquisition requires a skill scroll, with training at the combat academy serving as a faster alternative. Together they walk toward the small combat academy of the beastmen tribe, with its gates towering ahead. A guard halts them, sneering and making it clear there are conditions for enrollment, which include reaching level 6 and passing the entrance exam. With his level only at 4, the entry is impossible. A sigh slips from him, muttering that it is a hassle as he is seen with a new shirt made by the Beast Girl with an extra detail. Seeing his disappointment, she apologizes as she admits that long isolation in the cave made her forget about such requirements. His expression softens as he replies that it is fine because leveling is necessary anyway. Encouraged, she suggests a nearby cave fit for beginners. Before movement can begin, the guard interjects, calling him a filthy human who is tolerated only by the Beast King's order. Even with level 6, the exam will remain impossible, and with the hybrid girl by his side, they make a perfect pair of failures. Her smile falters. Shame spreads as the words sink deep. The thought rises that she is nothing more than a burden and would have to go eventually. His patience snaps as his eyes blaze and fists clench as he strides toward the guard, seizing him by the collar and lifting him slightly. Anger radiates as he growls that such words deserve punishment and demands an apology. The guard states that he speaks only facts because the girl is half human, half beast, which is a disgrace to the beastmen as she is nameless and unwanted. A system notification confirms this truth by showing that half-beasts are regarded as shameful and shunned by both races and live lives of abandonment. His mind flashes to their first meeting as he realizes why no name appeared when he used the divine eye. Armed beastmen gather with bows trained on Tsuyoshi. The guard sneers again, warning him that disrespect to a beastman warrior earns equal punishment, and only by passing the exam would an apology ever be possible, which is something no human could achieve. The sting of those words holds him momentarily still. From behind, she tugs his sleeve and whispers that he should not trouble himself for her. His chest tightens, and he releases the guard with his voice steady as he declares her name to be Sakura. Her eyes widen with thoughts racing. The guard scoffs but receives no further response, for he has already turned. He tells the guard to remember that if success comes, then an apology must follow. With a gentle hand on her shoulder, he says it is time to level up. The path leads toward a mountain where fox beastmen patrol the area. Tsuyoshi's eyes gleam at the opportunity for a rare experience. She hesitates, softly asking why he gave her the name Sakura. He rubs the back of his head and admits that her constant fragrance of cherry blossoms felt graceful and calm, thereby making Sakura the perfect name, though he worries about overstepping. Her eyes glisten as she hugs him from behind, whispering gratitude and saying the name fills her with joy. He scratches his head with a faint smile, simply stating she is welcome. Before the mouth of a dark cave, he asks with confidence if they should begin. She hands him a dagger as she asks how it suits him. He studies it, noting it lacks top quality, yet far surpasses a goblin club. Lifting it with excitement in his eyes, he admits satisfaction, for after wielding the hammer, all weapons feel light. Inside, fox-like beastmen lurk in silence, their gazes sharp on the intruders. A system notification identifies them as members of the fox tribe, quick and cunning and dangerous to the careless. He instructs her to hold back and continue teaching as usual, claiming the experience for himself. She is pleased as he calls her name. With the dagger in hand, he launches at the nearest beastman. She calls out that their speed demands restraint in swinging. Striking one, he notes their agility. Another rushes from a blind spot, yet instinct and ultimate physique save him, his arm shattering the beastman's weapon. The enemies freeze, confidence faltering as he glares, warning that none can even scratch him. She watches in awe, marveling at the defense of one chosen by the iron hammer. Low-level enemies crumble before him. With sharpened movements and precise strikes, he overwhelms the group, speed triumphing over power. After victory, his breathing steadies with the dagger firm in his grip. The realization comes that leveling here is efficient, no competition for resources, and a chance to monopolize growth. Yet memories of the faces of the third-grade villains intrude, the level 9 instructor, the muscle-headed level 12 brute, and the level 10 bald fighter. Even with his combat strength, their coordination and overwhelming levels make victory impossible. Resolve hardens as he decides the gap must be closed with more skills obtained. Eyes gleam with determination as he strides deeper into the cave, declaring the need to reach level 6 at once. Sakura follows, ears perked, hands clasped close to her chest, answering with devotion that she understands. Her enthusiasm echoes in the cave as the two venture further. Then Tsuyoshi encounters a towering wolf beastman boss with level 7 who wields a massive sword with eyes scanning for its next prey. He eyes the weapon and smirks, murmuring to Sakura that he wonders if it will drop, with excitement sparking in his voice. When Sakura asks if he truly wants it, he casually deflects, saying it is only curiosity. She clasps her hands together, exclaiming that most items drop after defeating enemies, but it depends on the party and the cave. She further explains that the higher the item's quality, the lower the drop rate, though special items can improve chances. Intrigued, he turns his focus back to the beastman boss, thinking about the drop rate and how this world truly feels like a game. Hovering above the beast's head, a notification appears showing the Dark Fox Beastman boss level 7, its combat power 1500, and its black cold light sword drop rate 6%. The low percentage makes him pause. Only 6%. Tough but perfect for him. Suddenly a golden notification pops up showing the exchange system activated and that conditions are detected. It further shows that items can be exchanged to unlock special effects and upgrades, and items unexchanged for long periods reset. Scanning through the exchange options, he finds a valuable item which is a high probability drop scroll with an effect of plus 30% drop rate for 1 minute, but with a condition to defeat 30 monsters. It also shows Tsuyoshi's current total as 114 monsters defeated. Excitement wells up within him as he realizes exchanging 3 scrolls will give a 96% chance the sword will be his. Without hesitation, he meets the conditions, exchanging 3 scrolls and a flurry of notifications appear. Another warning follows showing storage unavailable, and he should use items immediately. Wiping sweat from his brow, he secures the scrolls and turns to Sakura, determination radiating from him as he says it is time to get that sword. It will make him stronger. Sakura beams with excitement, urging him to do his best. He grips his weapon tightly, fixing an intense gaze on the Beastman boss, telling her to stay focused and guide him. As he approaches the Dark Fox Beastman boss, their eyes lock with the tension being palpable. Sensing the challenger's intent, the Beastman lunges forward, swinging its massive sword effortlessly. Tsuyoshi narrowly dodges, sweat rolling down his face as he realizes the sword's cold effect will be trouble if it connects. From behind, Sakura's wide puppy dog eyes brim with excitement as she warns Tsuyoshi that the Beastman is not just fast but incredibly strong, its weapon imbued with ice that slows movement and drains stamina on contact. She advises him to exploit weaknesses and finish quickly by adding fire oil to the sword, for fire is its greatest fear. Acknowledging her advice, Tsuyoshi applies the oil, igniting his blade in a fiery blaze. Charging forward, he meets the Beastman head-on. The creature instinctively screams for blood as it swings wildly. He matches its ferocity, growling for the sword. Sakura calls out weak points in the arms and neck, urging him to target those areas. He slashes at the beast's arm, slightly reducing its health. A notification appears showing status change and a cowardice effect which causes double damage and enemy aggression and morale to be significantly reduced with a duration of 15 seconds. Grinning, he seizes the moment, launching another attack while Sakura cheers from behind, warning him that enemies in this state reveal more obvious weak points. She advises Tsuyoshi to dodge carefully and strike with precision. Glancing back, he smirks, silently thanking her for the advice. The Beastman retaliates, swinging its massive blade recklessly. Tsuyoshi dodges effortlessly, grimly thinking that without Sakura's guidance, he would have been finished. Noticing the Beastman panting heavily, he surges forward, holding his sword high, declaring that if it is over for the Beastman, then it is his turn now. Sakura shouts for him to go for the neck, activating ultimate physique, boosting his strength by 60% and increasing power output by 200%. He lands a devastating slash to the beast's neck. Another notification appears showing a critical hit which causes triple damage with an effect called debilitation with a duration of 15 seconds. Sakura jumps in excitement, her cheers echoing through the cave, urging him to stay alert until the end. Hearing her encouragement, he leaps into the air, executing a flawless flip, declaring the end. Heaven Shaker unleashes in a finishing blow. The Dark Fox Beastman falls. Sakura, brimming with pride, laughs and cheers. He wipes blood from his face, satisfied with the fight. Holding the scroll, he activates it just in time, golden light enveloping his hand. A notification appears showing high probability drop scroll activated and that the drop rate increased to 96% with a duration of 1 minute. A brilliant golden light appears in his hand, and as hoped, the black cold light sword drops alongside several notifications, showing plus 3,000 experience points with his current experience being 5,430 out of 6,000. It also shows that the Dark Fox Beastman boss has been defeated and an item obtained being the black cold light sword. Overwhelmed with excitement, he exclaims silently while Sakura glows with pride, noting how rare it is to get this weapon on the first try. Ignoring her, he inspects the massive sword, thinking that even with ultimate physique he will be at risk without proper equipment, but this weapon will make him unstoppable. With it, even the 3 crazy wolves will fall. He further remarks that only a little more to reach level 5, and he will hit level 6 by tonight, for both Sakura's sake and his own. Resting the massive sword on his shoulder, he looks at her with a determined gaze, asking if there is anywhere else to level up, needing to hit level 6 fast. Sakura points dramatically toward the sky, explaining reset scrolls shorten respawn time for monsters in caves or dungeons, though effectiveness decreases in higher level or special areas. Since this is a low-level area, monsters will respawn quickly, which is perfect for grinding. She rummages through her bag, pulling out a scroll, declaring it should be enough to reach level 6 but suggesting they take a break first, mentioning she also has healing potions. He glances at her overflowing inventory, impressed. A short while later outside the cave, she holds up the scroll, explaining it has been used and the cave has reset. Grinning, he hoists his sword over his shoulder and strides toward the cave, unable to wait any longer. She follows closely, gripping her hands tightly near her chest. Inside the cave, the grind begins. He tears through Fox Beastmen with ease, the new black cold light sword slowing enemies with its icy effects. Impressed, he thinks the sword is perfect. Sakura explains some weapons have special effects, strength varies, and she is certain he will find even better ones in the future. As he dispatches yet another foe, his thoughts wander to powerful weapons such as the Divine King Hammer, a beastman's secret weapon stored in the Divine Consciousness inventory, but right now, even forcing ultimate physique, he can only manage 1 second at most. If used properly, it would make him invincible. The beastman boss, watching from the shadows, trembles as his onslaught continues. He smirks, voice dripping with confidence, taunting the boss that he has defeated the minions and reached level 5, ready to fight again. Using another scroll, he faces the boss. By the 4th round, he grins cheekily, taunting the beastman. By the 6th use, the Fox Beastman boss, overwhelmed and terrified, kneels on the ground, handing over its sword. Both he and Sakura freeze in shock, unable to respond. Finally snapping out of it, he grins slightly, finishing the boss with one final blow, leveling up in the process. A notification appears showing level 6 has been reached. It further shows his weapon as Black Cold Light Sword, his copied skills as Heaven Shaker, his power as 7,600 out of 8,800. Wiping the blood from his face, he surveys the defeated beastmen scattered around, realizing he has replenished stamina 6 times today and must have collected the full Fox Beastman gear set by now. Finally, at level 6, his eyes glow with newfound confidence, ready for the trial. The scene shifts to the entrance of the Beastman Combat Academy. 2 Beastman guards sit by a fire, chatting lazily, scoffing at a human wanting to take the trial after reaching level 6, calling him a fool. The other laughs, saying even if he leveled up, who knows when. Besides, only robust warriors could enter the academy. Their banter is interrupted by a calm, confident voice. From the shadows, the figures of Tsuyoshi and Sakura appear. The guards turn pale, confidence crumbling, unable to believe he leveled up twice in a single day. Emerging fully into the light, Tsuyoshi, clad in full wolf beastman armor and resting his sword on his shoulder, shoots the guards a sharp glare and orders them to wake the examiner. He is not waiting until tomorrow, and they should prepare to apologize to Sakura while at it. The referee in charge of the Beastman Warrior Academy admission test storms out looking half asleep and fully annoyed, muttering about a human trial wasting his time. Tsuyoshi stands unfazed, replying that he meets the requirements and wants to choose a skill from the skill vault. The orc says that talking big and just reaching level 6 does not mean passing the trial, but before he continues, another tribesman whispers something in his ear. The orc's eyes widen in disbelief due to the fact that Tsuyoshi went from level 4 to level 6 in less than a day. The orc wonders how that is even possible as Tsuyoshi tilts his head in confusion, telling him not to run away and reminding him he will apologize to Sakura if he passes. The orc, clearly irritated, barks fine but asks where all that confidence comes from as another examiner mutters, trying to keep composure, saying, "Let them do as he says," thinking a human passing a trial made for beastmen is laughable. Just then, a black-robed elder orc enters the scene, being the Academy's combat priest commander. He exudes authority as he announces that if Tsuyoshi has reached level 6, the trial begins. He continues by saying, "Beastmen are a race of strength, and strength is the primary criteria. Passing will earn the right to use the skill vault." The commander gestures to a massive outer stone tablet on the platform, explaining the trial is simple. Tsuyoshi just has to crack the stone slab with a single punch, and the skill vault is his. Tsuyoshi asks if cracking it is all. Meanwhile, the earlier orc snickers, thinking even a level 10 warrior would struggle with that as they normally use regular stones. The system in his mind explains outer stone as a celestial rock used by beastmen to measure strength. Once feared as a bad omen, its hard metal content now prized for crafting weapons. The commander smirks, saying it is easy for a beastman to crack it in one shot, and it is not hard if using a regular stone, but if it is a human, then it is a different story. He winds up and punches the stone with all his might, muscles rippling, as even he at level 20 still needs to give his all. A small crack appears and the commander puffs as he shows the example. Tsuyoshi strides toward the stone slab with unwavering confidence, casually saying, "All right, let him give it a shot." Behind him is Sakura, who cheers with her voice brimming with excitement, urging him to do his best. Facing the slab, he thinks leaving a mark should be easy because thanks to ultimate physique, he can push his power far beyond what is expected at his level, but just to be sure, he fine-tunes it for maximum impact. Lightning crackles around his right arm as ultimate physique activates 50% of strength concentrated in the right arm, allowing tremendous power. The beastmen in the crowd exchange glances, scoffing about how a weak human cannot leave a scratch. But their words are cut short as Tsuyoshi's fist connects with the slab, sending shockwaves rippling through the area. The stone tablet does not just crack, it shatters, scattering dust everywhere. The wind from the punch blows back the onlookers, leaving them stunned and speechless. Tsuyoshi scratches the back of his head awkwardly, muttering and asking if he put too much force into it, and that he was expecting something tougher. Behind him, Sakura clasps her hands, eyes sparkling with admiration as she declares he can now access the skill vault. The beastmen who had insulted Tsuyoshi earlier and the Academy examiner are frozen with their jaws practically on the ground, whispering that it is impossible. The commander, equally shocked, mutters no one below level 10 can do that, and yet Tsuyoshi, unfazed, casually dusts off his hands and smirks. The examiner, now sweating nervously, points shakily and claims he fails, saying he was not looking when Tsuyoshi did it, and that the crack must have been from the demonstration earlier. Tsuyoshi glances at the sweating examiner, tilting his head in confusion, asking what the plan for the trial is now. The examiner, panicking, shouts they will do it over as he says the next trial is the iron bar bending test. His mind flashes to even highly skilled beastmen struggling with the iron bar, but he puffs up his chest, confident as he knows it requires explosive power. Moments later, Tsuyoshi casually bends the steel bar as if it is made of rubber, tossing it aside and looking at the examiner with unimpressed eyes. The examiner, refusing to admit defeat, declares arm wrestling as the next trial. He says that if Tsuyoshi can last 10 seconds against their strongest warrior, he will pass. Tsuyoshi smirks, and to the examiner's dismay, he defeats the beastman warrior, who even the examiner cannot defeat, in an instant. The table does not just break, it explodes from the impact of his strength. The examiner coughs out blood in shock due to being unable to last a second. Tsuyoshi glares angrily, telling them that he has already completed 3 trials. Both the examiner and beastman warrior tremble in fear, sweat pouring down their faces as they confirm that Tsuyoshi has passed. Gently taking Sakura's hand, he walks confidently toward the beastman as he asks him to apologize to her as promised. The beastman scowls but, bound by honor, decides to keep his word. He proceeds to bow slightly, pride clearly wounded, and apologizes. Sakura's cheeks turn soft pink as she brings her hand to her mouth, clearly flustered, saying she never expected it, and it is not normal treatment, so she asks him not to worry. Tsuyoshi turns to her with a calm, firm expression, telling her she does not need to be reserved. He continues by saying it is her right to accept the apology with pride. Her face brightens, glowing as she looks up at him, softly voicing her admiration and turning back to the beastman with confidence now shining through. She decides to accept the apology. Sometime later, the group stands before the skill vault entrance with the examiner pointing at the doors as he explains that only one skill scroll can be taken at a time. Tsuyoshi's expression twists in disbelief as he thinks that the rule is ridiculous. The beastman, annoyed, snaps and asks if he thinks he can take whatever he wants, as he explains that the academy has strict rules. The examiner further says that they have 3 minutes to find a skill scroll once inside the vault, and the skill becomes that of Tsuyoshi if the seal is broken within that time, but if time runs out, he shall be expelled. Slightly annoyed, Tsuyoshi mutters about the time limit, the seal, and the expulsion. The examiner explains that the Combat Academy is a significant place representing the region, and that higher-level sorcerers and mages are invited to place seals and barriers to protect the vault. The system explains further that a scroll seal is a magical seal preventing use unless the seal is broken, and that barrier enforces conditions which allow or deny entry to living beings. Tsuyoshi scratches his neck, his expression being a mix of confusion and irritation as he realizes it is more complicated than expected. Sakura, ever the optimist, chimes in excitedly, saying stricter conditions exist at higher-level combat academies. The vault doors creak open and the examiner gives a warning that stealing a skill will result in immediate expulsion and that they have only 3 minutes to choose and get out. Inside the vault, Tsuyoshi's eyes sparkle, taking in endless shelves of skill scrolls. He jokes, running around in excitement while Sakura examines a scroll, murmuring that it is her first time entering. Each scroll is sealed, but she feels she can break them with brute force. Tsuyoshi grows serious, scanning the scrolls, planning to use absolute duplication, but finding a really good skill proves harder than expected, and he doubts Sakura would allow it due to the need of touching the heart. He clenches his fists, focusing on real-world problems, as he needs a skill to deal with the three. He activates his power with lightning crackling around his hand. The system chimes that the skill information on Shield Slam Strike has been unlocked successfully, with a shield dealing physical damage and causing dizziness, which is suitable for defense-oriented warriors. Tsuyoshi frowns at Shield Slam because he does not even use a shield. From behind, Sakura holds up a scroll on Gale Step, which allows one to move swiftly in order to avoid enemy attacks. It also increases attack speed and is suitable for speed-oriented archers. Tsuyoshi shakes his head because an archer is not his style. Sakura does not give up, suggesting Warcry, which lets out a roar that inspires allies and increases attack and defense, which is a common support skill. He sighs as the time ticks down and panic rises with only 2 minutes left and none of the skills resonate. Sakura, holding another scroll, shouts about a counterattack skill. Tsuyoshi actually thinks that it might work and keeps it as a candidate. The clock ticks closer with 1 minute left as they go through a multitude of skills. Tsuyoshi mutters about the time left as beads of sweat form on his face. Desperate, he turns to Sakura as he decides to use brute force to break the seals in order to check inside the scrolls. He asks about stamina and energy potions, hiding behind something sturdy. Startled, Sakura ducks behind a wall and lightning surges around his hand as he grins, ready for Plan B. Outside the vault, lightning flashes in the sky. The beastman examiner and the warrior look up in shock. Inside, Tsuyoshi raises his electrified fist, breaking all the seals at once. Sakura, peeking from behind the wall, thinks that even she is overwhelmed by his intensity. Lightning crackles violently around him, and a notification appears stating that due to insufficient level and conditions, he cannot fully unleash the power of the Divine King's hammer, and that forcing the release will consume a vast amount of energy with a duration of 1 second. Clenching his teeth, he shouts with unshakable determination that 1 second is all he needs.